Welcome to Rick's Corner. I have a guest on today that I've had on before here and on Actor Z and other shows I've done. We've been friends for a long, long time. He had a career in wrestling, Olympic style wrestling, pro wrestling, bodybuilding, powerlifting, acting, and you name it, he's done it all. And we always seem to work on shows together when I was working. But today I have him here, and it's a pleasure to have him back, to have my guest, Paul Vinson. So thank you, Paul, for being here.
Thank you for bringing me back
for
round two.
Yeah, we just had lunch, and so we decided we need to talk about stuff. And we've talked about a lot of stuff before, but there's still things that people ask. For example, we live out here in Los Angeles, the beaches of California, Hollywood, California, where acting is big and show business is big and entertainment is big. And there's a lot of people that are bodybuilders who come out here and they want to get into movies and they want to know where to begin. Or commercials. It's not like people think. They see it on TV just like they do wrestling and think, okay, I can do that, and here I am, and this is where I go. So, I mean, we've both been through this.
We have, and you learn the hard way.
Yeah, it's like when you first of all, you had a history in wrestling.
I did. So I came in with some credentials.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I got my foot in the door by my sports agent's assistant knew a talent agent up in LA.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it was O.J. Simpson's and Howie Long's agent, and he dealt with a lot of athletes, and that's how I got my foot in the door. So I was actually pretty fortunate.
Well, also, your voice had carried you.
Yeah.
This is his real voice.
Yeah.
This is no BS. And in the film business, voice or voiceover, if you can do voices or you have a unique voice, it can get you a lot of jobs, right?
Yeah, I think the whole persona of the voice, and then, it's always having something that stands out a little different than everybody else.
Right.
And that's, the prettiest girl out there and the most handsome guy or the best body or whatever. I mean, there's 4 million of you guys out here already.
God,
so
yes.
If you have a unique look or a unique sound or something unique about you, that's going to help you. That's going to carry you a lot further than your good looks or your nice body or whatever else that you think that you have that everybody else has.
And also, don't try to be like somebody else. Be yourself. And this is the same thing with bodybuilding or wrestling, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
There's only one you. And you can be the best you can be. There's already somebody there you want to be like. There's already someone over there. Someone asked me once, who was your hero, your role model growing up? I didn't really have one. I mean, I watched superheroes, but it wasn't my thing. And it's like, I think I just want to be me because there's only one of me, but I want to be the best me I can do.
That's right.
Yeah, and no one has taken my role or my name yet.
Well, it's funny. The curse is if somebody tells you look like somebody, that's a curse. Don't look at that as a compliment and think you're going to make it in Hollywood because they already have that person.
Right.
They don't need another one of those.
Right.
Unless you plan on being a stunt double for that person.
And that's another thing. To be a stunt man, and many of you ask, well, I work out, how do I do stunts? Stunts are like the hardest thing in the world to get into. I got in it through wrestling because a lot of the wrestlers or coordinators or friends, Gene LaBelle, for example, stunt coordinator, would call me for roles and say, can you do all these things? However, a lot of stunt guys just stand there and throw a punch or they don't do anything, they fall. But that's a select group of people that are like camaraderie that they use, the Stuntmen's Association. They all know each other, they all hang together, and stuntmen are not big guys.
No.
They're actually small. They got to double Tom Cruise and people like that, so they're like 5'6", 5'7", 140, 150 pounds. And they pad up and they learn the falls. They learn how to do all this stuff so that when they do it, they don't get hurt. I mean, I had a movie with it was called, I can't remember, Flash Fire with Lou Gossett and Billy Zane, and they had 2 weeks in the days and 2 weeks in the nights, and downtown in an underground parking thing, and I get shot in the shoulder and the knee. So the director says, let's pad you up so you can fall. I don't need pads. I know how to fall.
That's right.
So they put the things in me to explode, and I hit the ground on my back. And the okay, I said, that's fine. I hit the cement like I would in a wrestling spot.
Sure.
And it worked out fine. So that made it easy for them. They didn't have to double me, and I got the job done. But that's how stuff happens. So if you're going to come out here and you want to get into acting, don't base it just on your body, even though it's a plus, but it can also be a minus.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because if you're too big, they don't want you.
Yeah, forget it. You can't double anybody. And another thing is, as far as stunts goes, the bigger you are, the less work you're going to get.
Yeah, you know what it is? When I started in the business and I was working out back in the days and I was big, we got bodybuilding roles. Okay, bodybuilders then were considered dummies.
Yeah.
Let's get the dumb guys, the bodybuilders on the Flip Wilson show or over here, just do some stupid things and stand in the background. And they would almost humiliate you because you're a bodybuilder because it wasn't accepted then as well. And then pretty soon it started to level out and guys started working out. And I wrote a letter to Screen Actors Guild and I said, I'm too big. What about John Wayne and people like that? These are big men. They said, yes, but they're not muscular. If we get you in a role playing a doctor on TV and you take your shirt off and you're a bodybuilder, they're going to say, what do the muscles represent on the TV show? Obviously, the doctor must be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You know, and they weren't ready to go that route. And I don't know if you guys ever thought about this, but it's true. You see a guy on a show, he takes his clothes off. If he's a huge guy, you're going to know, hey, man, what are you training? What are you taking? You know? So
very few exceptions to the rule, and Arnold was one. The Rock is another one.
Right.
And now Batista's coming in. I mean, these are 1 out of a million guys that make it, and the size that they are. But if you remember, when Dwayne Johnson first got in, they told him to drop all that weight because he was too big. So he did. He did some goofy movies, you know, the kid movie types with Disney, and they realized that wasn't working for him. He could put the weight back on, and now he's doing much better.
But see, those guys raised the bar. Arnold raised the bar for bodybuilders. There was only one guy like him that could really do big and make it. You know, Dave Draper had a chance back in the day. He did a couple of TV shows, one Gladiator, and so I'm going to do a tribute to him as well. But it was an oddity. And when they called Gold's Gym and they said, we need some bodybuilders, I answered the phone and tell 10 of us to go down and get the roles. But they were never major roles. Yeah. Once in a while, something would come along. I did a Charlie's Angels. I had the main lead on the show. I could act, and so they gave me the role. There were bigger guys than me, but I fit the role. So you just never know what it's going to be. But if it's something you want to do and you have a passion for it, I mean, don't give up on it. Come out here and try it. And number one thing is getting into acting class. Learn how to work in front of a camera like we do here. You've got to know how to go on camera, even if it's just a slate on an audition.
Yeah.
They'll say, what's your name? You say, I'm Rick Drayson. You know, you can say it many different ways, and you can give them a nice smile or look or whatever. And then they'll go by the look, and then they'll bring you back. And if they give you lines, you got to know how to read the lines.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you really do. You really do. I mean, there's so much to this business that, I mean, just sending out a headshot and putting a resume together is one thing, but then, God, that's just the beginning. I mean, getting in front of the camera, doing your auditions. If you don't think you go, I mean, I still go in nervous when I go into an audition. It's like game day. You just never, those butterflies never settle, and you know what? You really don't want them to.
Yeah, and one of the kiss of death, my agent will call and say, hey, we got a role for you. They asked for you're definitely right for the role. Rick Grace is the guy we want. That's the kiss of death, because I know when I go there, I'm not the guy.
Well, you know what's funny is I just got that call today from my agent about a commercial for Firestone. They were calling me specifically for this role, even though I don't fit the description for the role. They know me and they like me so much that they're bringing me in anyway.
Right. This happens a lot. Paul gets around. He's got the e-insurance commercial running right now as Mr.
As sort of Mr. Craig, and then I fly out to Seattle next Thursday to shoot a Microsoft commercial up in Seattle. I'll be back Friday night, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow with my audition with Firestone.
But you've done a lot of commercials.
I have, you know, and here's the thing: when I give advice to people in this business, it's not about who you know, and don't try to suck up to anybody because they can't help you. The only people that can help you in this business are casting directors. Trust me on that. Producers, directors, and that. They can tell you something, but until it's in writing, don't believe it. The casting directors are the ones that are going to get you in front of these people.
Well, the thing with producers, and I have a lot of friends that, like Fred Ray's used me in 12 films, but he also wrestled. He came to my house.
Right.
Every time he had a role, he'd call me. I have another guy, Richard Friedman, who's done tons of movies. He says, I want to use you in the next film. So I'd see him at dinner. What happened, Richard? He says, you know what, Rick? I totally forgot about you. I started laughing. You got to stay in touch and let me know you're available. And it's hard. It's a full-time job. With casting directors change from time to time, and you get to know the ones that have been around for a long time.
And they get to know you.
And that's another thing I want to say. But the problem with that is they remember me as a wrestler and bodybuilder. Now that I'm older and I can play older roles, and they'll say, "Oh no, Rick's a wrestler." No, I'm not. I haven't wrestled in 20 years. I can do other stuff. And the name of the game for acting is to be able to do other things.
Yeah.
You don't want to be pigeonholed. And it's just how it is. And it's like Paul says, it's not who you know. It is to a degree, but it's who knows you.
Yeah. They can't call you in if they don't know you.
No, I have so many people say, "Oh, I know Rick Grace," and they ask me if I don't know who it is. I have no clue. So the casting directors know me, and I know them, but I know other people who may not know me, and you know, it's just how it works. But you got to hang in there, get the acting classes, and you go find an agent, which is really hard to do.
Yeah, that's the hardest part in LA is finding an agent, because if you walk into an office and you look like me, they're not going to take you because they already have me.
Right.
They don't need you.
Right.
And so same thing with Rick. I mean, you know, if they've got 3 bald-headed guys with goatees, forget about it. You're going to have the hardest time getting an agent unless you have something unique.
The only advantage about the 3 is there could be an age difference.
Yeah.
There could be a color difference in the beard, or there could be a height difference, or one of those things, and then they'll take you.
Yeah.
So, and then you have a wig.
I do have a wig, so and I've booked commercials with that wig, and I've gone in auditions where they didn't even know it was a wig, and I booked. So I mean,
and then he shows up for wardrobe, and with his head shaved, they say, "Oh no, you shaved your head?" No, it's a wig.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. So I mean, it can be good money. You can get residuals. You can do really well with it. And people said, "What'd you guys do back in the '70s to make a living while you were training?" Well, this is what we did. We went on auditions and booked commercials. I have money coming in today from Charlie's Angels, Incredible Hulk, The Fall Guy, Wild Wild West that I did 25, 30 years ago, and I still get checks.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how they keep coming and coming. So, yes, we did establish ourselves and made money to train by doing these things. And if you come out here to do that, you can do as well. It's just a little bit harder. And we were just talking about getting in Screen Actors Guild. They've raised the bar. I mean, it's expensive now. You have to earn a certain amount every year in order to have insurance. You have to have about 30-something thousand a year income.
And plus, just getting into SAG, they've made it so difficult to get into get into SAG now.
And there is non-union stuff, but the non-union stuff doesn't pay much, and there's no guarantee, and there's no insurance, no anything.
Yeah,
so that's kind of tough. Yeah, okay. I want to take this to a different subject real quick.
Sure.
We were saying how you can be you and you can't be somebody else, and how your looks really depend on what you do. And getting into bodybuilding doesn't guarantee you this and guarantee you that. Well, we were just talking about the Arnold Classic, and Arnold had posted something about the bodies of today. I've been talking about this for years, about how guys have distorted themselves and get the big guts and have blown themselves out of proportion. Yes, it's amazing to me the size you can get. 300 pounds competing with like 24-inch arms and all that. I mean, we never did that back in those days. And Arnold was saying the small waist, the broad shoulders like Steve Reeves is the body that you want. And it is the body that made bodybuilding a lifestyle and what they tried to achieve. To get that a massive size, it's not really pretty.
You know, it's not, and it's very, and it's unproductive. I mean, there's really nothing you can do with it except for lift weights and pose in front of a bunch of judges to see who's going to get first place or not.
Those guys on auditions, do they do well?
No, they do not. Unless they call for a freaky bodybuilder, which is very seldom.
Very rare.
That's the only chance you have, I mean, for doing anything in Hollywood. So yeah, it's you coming in with that kind of a look. You've definitely got a lot to overcome, for sure.
Yeah, the other thing I want to touch on before we close is the big stomachs. Now, I have thick abs. I always have. But my waist was down to 31, 32 when I was competing. But my abs were thick. And there's nothing I could do about it. I didn't take growth hormone. I wasn't taking testosterone. It was just thick abs. It's just a genetic thing with me. Yeah. So when I gain any size or I work my stomach, it just gets bigger. People think that working your stomach and working your obliques is going to trim your waist. It doesn't. No. It's a muscle and it grows and it gets thicker and thicker. And I see guys doing side bends with weights. Their weights get thicker and thicker. And they said, well, why am I gaining? I'm working my waist. You're working your waist too much. It's getting big like any other muscle. Yeah. And then as far as the distended stomachs with the drugs, growth hormone, I'm told, can do that. Now, I've taken it and I haven't really noticed it. IGF, they say, can do it. But I think what really puts it over the edge is the insulin. Because you gain so much weight on that insulin, and everything grows.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of disadvantages to taking insulin and very few advantages. I mean, it's a very dangerous drug, and you really have to be careful of how you take it, and when you take it, and how much you take, especially how much you take. But I don't, that's the problem with bodybuilding now is a lot of guys are going to MMA and CrossFit and all these other alternative sports because what you have to do to compete in bodybuilding today, for what you get out of it, I mean, it's just gratification, self-gratification. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of money out of it.
No, not at all.
And so what you have to put into it is just not worth it. And a lot of guys are thinking, I was an athlete in high school, I'm an athlete in college, I'm going to stay an athlete. And I think that all these other sports that are out there now are just overwhelming bodybuilding. And bodybuilding, I hate to say it, and I know all you guys are hardcore bodybuilders, but you guys have to realize that it's a dying sport. And there's nobody out there really promoting the sport like there was when Arnold Schwarzenegger was out there, and Lou and Columbo and Zane, and I mean these guys really, these guys drew people in.
Yeah, it's now, dying, but it's not dying. It still has a huge audience, but it's chemical warfare now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not what it was back in the day. With like I used to say, you could put silhouettes of all the guys back then on stage. You could tell each person who they were. Today, you can't tell.
No.
So, I mean, the growth hormone and all that's not the answer. Drugs do play a certain role at a certain age. I think they're necessary. If you're over 40 and you want to take some testosterone replacement or the growth hormone for anti-aging, if you do it systematically with a doctor, this is what I do, it works for me, and it's mild dosages and it does work. But if you're going to go crazy with it and overdo it like a lot of the guys, then you risk certain things and health factors, and then you get this ugly body, and it's not really worth it if you're not going to compete. But I get a lot of you guys that write me 40, 50, 60 years old that tell me, I just don't have the energy. What do I take? Should I take some testosterone, this and that? Probably so. You know, I mean, it's probably you have a low count, right?
God, I am huge. I think every male out there over the age of 40 should be on testosterone. Whether the doctor tells you that your levels are low or fine and they're normal, your lifestyle depends on how much your testosterone levels should be, not some stupid test in a doctor's office and they tell you, oh, you should be 130 pounds when you're 5'7".
Yeah.
You know, those are just charts that doctors go by when they read a book. They have no idea what your lifestyle is, how athletic you are, how, you know, I mean, do you play 18 rounds of golf when you go out? I mean, can you? I mean,
well, that's a funny thing, because when I was married, I was going to join Kaiser, and I was really in hard shape, but I was 225 pounds. So at the time my wife calls in, we're joining Kaiser, my husband wants to be on the plan. They said, how tall is he? 6 feet. What's he weigh? 225? No, he's obese.
Exactly.
He's not obese. She said, he's a bodybuilder, he's ripped. I said, one thing about the chart says he's obese, he should be 170.
Exactly. Insurance companies, that's what they do. I mean, medical and insurance companies, they all go by these charts and they don't look at you as an individual.
Right.
That's what I like about the insurance commercial, sort of Mr. Craig, is they bunch, you know, and it's car insurance, and this is what the whole commercial is about, is they bundle you up into a certain group, and you might not, and you have nothing to do with that group. But they bundle you in that group anyway, and it's frustrating for us as athletes. So, but I think any male over 40 years old should definitely be on testosterone at least. And I think every individual, especially males, from the age of 21 on, should probably look at some kind of regimen, of a controlled regimen by a doctor, as far as getting on some kind of sports enhancing drug.
If they're going to compete, if you're going to compete in sports and this is what you want to do, you've got to keep up with the flock. But you got to do it right.
And don't worry about failing a drug test, because the Olympic Committee has set up a drug testing policy to where if you stay under the guidelines, you can pass. And this is why Lance Armstrong was able to pass every drug test that he ever took and still be on testosterone and still be on steroids, is because all you have to do is fall under that testing guideline. So at 18, 21, 22, 23, 24 years old, these athletes are taking steroids. The problem is they're staying under that level of being tested. Same with the Olympics, NBA, baseball, football. The only sports that don't do it is pro wrestling and bodybuilding.
Yeah, it is. They don't have to. It's entertainment.
Right.
It's not telling you to take it. We're just saying if you're going to do this, do it right, and be careful where you buy it, because you don't know what you're getting.
Well, that's why I say go through your doctor.
Yeah, go through your doctor.
For sure.
It's a reputable source.
And if you're 40, God, if you can get it online, get it. If you're under 40, go to your doctor. That's my recommendation.
If you wonder where you saw it, Paul, he's got an insurance commercial running right now where he's Mr. Craig and he breaks the pencil and chews out the husband and wife. So it's kind of a funny spot, and they're running it a lot nationally. So, and he's got other stuff coming. But I want to thank you for being here. And if they want to write to you on the internet or find you, you have a Facebook?
I do. I have Facebook. You go to my Facebook page, and I'll totally accept you. You can look me up at IMDb, www.imdb for the actors, and see some of my work that I've done in the past. And then I also have a Hotmail account where you can, if you have any questions or anything, I'll be more than happy to help you or answer them for you.
Okay, cool. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
More.
Yeah.
And, I'll see you at lunch this week.
Right? Or coffee for sure.
Exactly. Stay tuned for more Rick's Corner. There's a website called wellnessfitnessnutrition.com, and Dr. Richard Rodriguez is the CEO of the company. He's a medical doctor. He does a lot of research on drugs, on nutrition, on proteins, IGF, GH, testosterone, all that, and he has his own lab, and his laboratory tested everything he has, including his proteins and all that are top of the line, everything he has. I want you to go on the website here and go up to products and scroll down and look at the new products, look at the hot products, look at those newly released, and check out everything he has. I mean, I can't even go through everything. The website's so big. But if you go on there and look at it, I guarantee this is probably the best I've ever found, and I endorse them because they have good products, and I get their stuff, and I've had the best results and the best gains at Wellness Fitness nutrition.com. Dr. Richard Rodriguez, he's a smart man. We've had a lot of talks about the body and what makes it work, and I urge you, just go on the site and look around. I'm not telling you to go crazy, just enjoy it, see if it's for you, because it might be.
It's rickdrason.com. He is the equalizer, baby. See you next time.